in an unscripted and unpredetermined fight, for that person to call me a can in the fight world, I took that as a sign of disrespect, you know? So again, we're in the fight business. And if you disrespect somebody that just, you know, happens to be in your weight class, you know, we got to fight. And, you know, Uncle Dana, he saw this business opportunity. And again, if they paid this dude, you know, $500,000 up front, you know, for the first fight, you know, and they're going to pay him again. I mean, obviously got to pay this dude a lot of money again. He obviously generated a lot of revenue for the company. So it really just only makes sense to give him a run back. And excuse me. And the only person that makes sense in going to run back is me. There's no, I mean, this is almost like a fight that was meant for me to have, you know, or meant for me to be a part of. So I'm happy.
Do you think the UFC is making a mistake by matching him up against you? I mean, it's in their best interest, you know this, to have him win. Do you feel like you are too experienced for CM Punk?
I do, but see, here's the thing. I don't necessarily feel the UFC wants him to win. I never looked at it, you know, from that perspective, because if that were the case, they wouldn't have put him in there with Mickey Gall. Like, if they really wanted him to, that wouldn't have been the fight that they would have given him. They would have just, there would have never been a Mickey Gall opportunity. You know, there would have been something that was a pre-matched fight, you know, prior to that, you know, if they really were looking to protect him. And so with that, I just don't see it. I feel, and again, I've kind of had, as I've thought about this whole scenario a little bit more recently, I just feel it's a bucket list thing for him. It's just something that he wanted to try out, and he wanted to do it just to see what happens. Again, the dude I'm sure he has a lot of time on his hands. You know, I'm sure he's not, you know, working a traditional 9-to-5 kind of job. So he's like, yo, I'm a fan of the sport. And because of my name, I can bring in a lot of crowd or a lot of, you know, a lot of eyes to the fight. So why not go to the UFC?
So, okay, so that being said, are you surprised that the UFC is giving him a second fight? Because, you know, you get the first fight out of the way, bucket list, but here we are almost 2 years later, and he's getting a second fight. Does that surprise you?
Well, see, the way I look at that is for him, although he did lose the first fight, it wasn't like he didn't go in the fight and just he did get dominated, but it was one of those things where he just didn't getting beat up the whole time. He went in, he got taken down, he got punched a little bit because he was squirming, and then he got choked out. I feel that if it's one of those things, it's like, if this is really your bucket list, you wanna be in a fight. I think he legit wants to be in a fist fight, and that's why they're gonna give him the run back.
Wow. What did you make, by the way, of his performance against Mickey Gall? That's the only film you have to watch on him, right?
Literally went exactly how I told people it would go. You know, and I again, the whole buildup for, even between myself and Gall, I told people, it was like, his best case scenario is to fight Gall. You know, despite he had the higher experience out of the three of us. Again, it's about styles, and the Mickey Gall fight was the best case scenario for him because he wasn't going to take damage in the fight.
Wow, best case scenario. So you're saying worst case was to fight you?
Well, yeah. Period. I mean, because again, I'm not going in there I'm not going in there to submit him. I'm not going in there to choke him out. Look, I have no animosity or ill will towards Phil. For me, he called me a can, and I didn't. It wasn't like it was someone of stature calling me a can. I can like laugh it off, like, okay, whatever. You know, like anybody, a Stipe, or, you know, someone with a record, you know. And then I don't even see those guys really stooping to that kind of level. But when you have someone who, again, he's never been in a fight. He had never been in a fight before the Gall fight, or an actual, you know, unscripted fight. And for someone like that to call me a can, I take that as disrespect. You know, that's just like me one day deciding I want to be a wrestler, and I walk into Vince McMahon's office. I was like, all right, I want to go wrestle Brock Lesnar for the belt, and I want you to put me over. It's like, I wouldn't do that, you know, because I would have to pay my dues and work my way up. And again, not upset the route he took, because I understand the route he took. But if you're going to take that route, then you need to be more respectable or more respectful to those individuals in the sport.
But haven't you used the can line in your effort to get this fight? I feel like I've seen you, you know, like sell this as can versus can, no?
Well, Again, now that was obviously that was the wrestling promo that I cut, and it was really, again, I do a lot of things and say things to sort of antagonize people,
Okay.
you know. Uh, and so that was kind of just that. It was a play on words, you know. He called me a kid, and so for me, I was just kind of making light of it, making fun of it.
I have noticed in this interview that you don't refer to him as CM Punk. You call him Phil. Any particular reason?
His mama called him Phil. I'm gonna name him Phil. I'm gonna call him Phil.
But he is known. I mean, that's how they refer to him, as that's his name. Is there you just you don't want to pay him that respect, or is there you feel weird saying CM Punk?
No, it just that's his name, Phil Brooks. You
Okay.
know, uh, and the whole CM Punk thing. And I guess he's trying to bring that gimmick over from the professional wrestling. Look, the CM Punk guy, he's dying June 9th at UFC 225 in his hometown of Chicago.
How do you feel about fighting him in Chicago? That's where he is the biggest draw. I mean, this is the perfect setting. You know this. How do you feel about that? And what kind of reception do you think you'll get in Chicago?
You know, to be honest, I literally have no idea. I've never been in this kind of situation before. You know, for me, I remember as an amateur, I fought on a card with Dustin Poirier back in like 2008, 2009. And I remember fighting, actually, I fought one of his teammates, and it was in a little venue. It was about 10,000 people out in Louisiana. But it was a little different because that was like a regional show, and in the mixture of people, you know, people are there for all different types of fighters, you know. So he may have had like a small cluster there supporting him. Like I'm walking into a crazy situation where, you know, this is not some just random amateur fighter. I mean, this is CM Punk,
Yeah.
and he had, and so I would expect him. Now I did hear he may not, even though he's from Chicago, he may not. I mean, may not be completely over there. He may have a little heat on him. So I don't really know. Well, I would assume just a bunch of fans going to fly in from all over the world anyway to see him fight. But I'm expecting a sort of hostile crowd, you know. But again, those people aren't going to be in that cage with Phil. So, I mean, they can boo me all they want to. Actually, I enjoy the boos.
I was just gonna say,
I
I feel like you are relishing the opportunity to be booed. Like I just knowing you a little bit already, I feel like you can't wait to be the most hated man in Chicago.
Well, I do want to get, because I mean the whole thing about this is it's not a work in wrestling. You know, the heels can even get fans. For me, the main objective here is to build the Mike the Truth Entertainment brand. You know, that's what we're here about. So although I know I'm going to be walking out to a lot of boos, eventually I want to turn those fans over and bring them to the truth side.
And are you hoping to stick around in the UFC? Because it did seem like they cut ties with you afterwards. Now they're bringing you back. Are you hoping that this leads to a long-term UFC contract?
Man, I can't believe they cut me on my birthday. That's when I got the email.
Wow.
Email on my birthday a couple years ago. I was like, y'all waited like a whole, I think they were like 2 months or whatever. Nah. You know, for me, I don't know what the future necessarily holds. In an ideal situation, there are two fights I feel that could be made in the UFC. I made a call out a while back against, and you know he verbally agreed to it, but you know he's over here doing some shenanigans out in New York, so I don't even know if he's going to be in the UFC too much longer. And then the last one, you know, I was supposed to face the baddest female in the planet. I was supposed to face her brother in a fight for LFA, and the dude backed out. You know, so Chris Cyborg's brother. I don't know if you want this smoke, but he can get it too. So those are the ideal two fights for me. But if those don't come to fruition, then I'm gonna talk to Uncle Dana, cousin Mick, and see if we can get this Zuffa boxing jumping. We gonna get on that band.
I've not heard cousin Mick yet. That's a good one. By the way, you cut out for a brief second there. Did you say Artem Lobov? Right when you said his name.
Yeah,
okay. All right.
Yeah, article a while back where, you know, I don't even remember how that came about. Maybe someone asked me who I would fight. And, you know, for me, I fought at 155 before. And obviously that's a big cut for me. That's something I have to prepare for. So if he wants it, then I mean, I'll be willing to take it because I feel that would be a great fight for me and as well as financially. You know, it would have for me to go to 55. It would have to make sense. And Artem Lobov is the only fight that makes sense for me to go 55.
I didn't even know that Chris Cyborg had a fighting brother. That's legit Chris Cyborg's brother you're talking about?
I didn't know she had a brother either, but I just call him Chris Cyborg's brother. No, it's legit. So how that fight came about, I guess there's a former, I know a lot of people don't know him, Saul Solis. He's the former trainer of Tito Ortiz.
Yeah.
You know, he's based out of here in Houston, and he's real good friends with Chris Cyborg, and they've actually been doing some training. He'll have some of his guys go out. I know they did some stuff out in Japan when they were doing, I want to say Gabby Garcia, when they were kind of helping her get ready. So there's the connection there. And they were trying to get him some fights out here in Houston. And there was he made some contacts with a smaller organization that I work for, and it just didn't make sense. And then we actually got booked for an LFA card here in Houston, and I want to say maybe 3 weeks out, he backed out. And so I was trying to figure out, like, you know, why he backed out, and the matchmaker really didn't have any information for me. And so come to find out, he didn't want to fight me at the time because his response was, my sister's not going to be there. And so we were trying to figure out, I was like, why does this matter so much? But that was the night where Cyborg went, and I don't know if she was in her corner. Well, she was in her corner. I don't know what her role was, but she was with Clarissa Shields for her pro debut. I think it was a pro debut, but she was Shields. And so he backed out. He's like, my sister can't be here. And I was like, hold on, you're not fighting because your sister can't be here? Like, she can't fight with you? Man. So we actually moved it to another card. And then I didn't hear anything from the matchmaker, so I hit him up. And he was like, he don't want to fight you no more. He wanted more. It was something about more money. And but in the time between, I did take a boxing match, and I like deaded some poor kid. And maybe he saw the video and was just like, I don't want to get deaded like that dude did. I don't know. But
wait, so how many fights have you? How many fights have you had since the Gall fight?
I did a boxing match, and I have two. I did a boxing match and a kickboxing match.
And your record?
Not that. I'm sorry. I had a boxing match and a Muay Thai fight. I lost the decision in a Muay Thai fight. I took on Jeremy Holloway. He's like a Bellator vet.
Okay.
That was the toughest fight. Not in sense, like, actually didn't take any damage. The reason he won the fight, he was just more active. It was one of those situations where I hit this dude with some heat. I hit this dude with shots that I put people to sleep with, and he just looked at me. And so I did what I had to do, but he was just a little bit more active in the fight, so he got the decision. And then the fight prior, I think that fight, the boxing came second, and then I went out there and just, I snatched some poor kid's soul.
Wow. Okay. So you've been active.
You can catch that. You gotta catch that on the Instagram. The highlights, he's dead with his feet at the Truth Jackson.
Okay, I'll check it out. This is unique because you both have one fight in the UFC, and it's against the same guy. And if you look at the fights and you look at the records, he lasted longer with Mickey Gall than you did. So what do you say to the people who say, wait a second, you're calling this guy the scrub, but you're the one who actually lasted a little over a minute against Gall? What's the difference?
I mean, the whole time thing, like, that really doesn't matter when you think about, like, how the fight played out. For me, look, I zigged when I should have zagged, and it is what it is. Like, in the situation of Phil, like, he got taken down, and really the fight would have ended a little bit quicker, but again, he was scrambling a little bit, and he had to get punched a little bit, so that was really the reason. But as far as lasting longer, I mean, look at his face and look at my face. I mean, he's the one who took the more damage. So, I mean, that's inconsequential. It's irrelevant in the grand scheme of things. But for me, I feel, I know a better fighter. I'm going to bring the bigger toolbox and just going night.
Do you feel like you will see a better CM Punk? Like, do you suspect that he has improved since his first fight at 203?
I would hope so. And the crazy thing about his previous fight was that we didn't really get to see anything from him. So we really don't know, like, how good he really is. We know he's not good at stopping a shot from Mickey Gall. I mean, that's all we really know. So I would expect in a year and a half I would expect him to learn something and to get a little bit better. For me, I just kind of go with what I feel. Yeah, it was funny. I am a little upset that Phil didn't he didn't respond to my Christmas present that I gave him.
What?
Yeah, I sent him a Christmas present, Ariel, and he didn't even send me a thank you card back. I felt so disrespected by that.
What'd you send him?
Just uh, so I sent him first of all, I sent him an autographed photo of myself.
Okay.
And in the box I had two Mickey Mouse glove hands with extra like the little slapper hands inside, like stuffed in. I put the box and I wrote him a nice little note. It was like, you can get these hands. And I expected a thank you card or something for the gesture, but he didn't respond.
Where did you send this to?
I guess his response, I sent it I sent it to over Coach Rufus's.
Okay.
I sent it to the gym. I did have some cool things kind of, I don't want to give my hand away, but I did have some cool things planned. I actually planned to fly out to Chicago and shoot some stuff, but it didn't work out how I planned. I put it in the truth budget, and it kind of fell apart. Not my end. I was ready to boogie, but the other people's parts. Yeah, so I didn't get to go out to Chicago beforehand.
I think this is going to be fun. I think this is going to be a fun 2 months leading up to this fight. I am looking forward to it very much. I think that people.
Vince McMahon could not have written a better storyline, Ariel. Yeah. It only makes you bring me, you got this guy, right? And you have Mickey Gall, and he says, I want to fight CM Punk. And so you have to test him, right? So you bring in this guy who's charismatic. He may not have the same skill set as a Mickey Gall, but he's very charismatic and can sell a fight. And the guy's a top tier athlete. And he puts Mickey Gall over because, again, we know Mickey Gall, he's a future of the sport. He's a young prospect. I feel Mickey Gall can be a future champion. So it was one of those things where I had to put him over for his future. And I had to be patient a little bit. And we're here. The redemption story is CM Punk. He ended by the truth at UFC 225.
Wow. Amazing. Well done. Well done, Mike.